news,
Lobbyists are fed up with politicians accepting their money and then not coming through.
opinion,
When the automated police force orders you inside, that's just them doing their job.
remix.
Even lost my job partially due to the whole global warming issue. Increase in oil prices. This guy's scared.
This is Top Story with Kelly Klass and Jill Skeen,
I've been a listener for about 20 years.
I'm talking to you makes me feel better.
where the news meets your opinion. Pick up the phone and talk about it. 736-0300. That's 736-0300. Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, Kelly Klass and Jill Skeen.
Good morning and welcome to Top Story. 736-0300 is the number to call. How many days in a row will I have to play this song?
The farmers are probably screaming.
Oh,
It poured again this morning. All last night we heard it, and then this morning.
I know. And the farmers are getting into, it's reaching a critical point here. Because, and I had an opportunity Saturday to just drive around, or maybe it was Sunday, I guess it was, to just drive around a little bit. And I saw a big old, about a 40-acre field of hay that was still on the windrow that was just flat, that had been rained on, and it's probably getting rained on again this morning, and it's worthless now pretty much. And I saw bean fields that had just been beat to smithereens. I saw cornfields that had been pretty well shredded. I saw a potato field that was laid flat. I mean, it was just, I can't tell you how many times I've said in the past week, boy, I'm sure glad I'm not farming.
I know, and we
Wow.
saw Tom's cousin, and he's a farmer, and he was talking about how the places that buy it, like Rangan's and all those, they're done. They can't buy anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so his barley, I think it would have been like 13 that he would have gotten from Coors. I think
Yeah.
he sold for 5, some of it. He only had 40 acres out of 210 that were nailed, and he was lucky. So, but he said a lot of the places that you could sell it to can't take anymore.
That's right. They're when it's not fit for beer making, then it usually goes to the cattle feed market, and like you say, the ones that are buying it for cattle feed are maxed out.
They
now.
are maxed
So
out.
There's it's just a mess. It's a
I
mess.
know. So how
And it
is
ain't done yet.
It's not. What's the forecast?
I don't know. I don't have a forecast in front of me here. Benito doesn't leave the forecast here, and I'm going to have to talk to him about that.
I know. Where was Benito?
So-
I didn't see him today.
I know he was here earlier, but I don't know. I guess he had things going on. But at any
It
rate,
happens.
I put sealant on my deck floor yesterday,
Yes.
thinking, it's probably not going to rain for a while now.
So you're the reason.
So long about 6:30, my grandson and I got out there, and I had the rest of it done. I've been kind of working on it over the past week, and we got down to just the floor. So I put sealant on the floor, thinking, oh, man, that looks good, and I hope it has a chance to dry now before it rains. And then I wake up this morning, and there's rain everywhere.
How long
So
does
I
it
don't
have
know.
to dry for?
Well, it just has to dry till it's dry, but it wasn't dry last evening because it was cooler and the sun wasn't shining on it. So it was taking it a while to dry, but I'm going to hit it again as soon as it does dry, and so I'll have a double coat on it. It should be okay. I mean, that's nothing compared to the poor farmers who have had to endure all this. And even hayfields that are standing got beat up pretty bad.
Well, again, and then just this morning, it just came down hard when I was sitting there on the couch. But hey, we have to talk about our lunch. We had this lovely lunch Friday with Ray and Katie Massey, and it was really nice.
It was. We had a good time.
We did. The food was good. You tried something new?
Yeah, they had coconut fried chicken.
And I
you know
thought,
how
that
hard
sounds odd.
And this is regular fried chicken on the bone and everything, and that's the way I love it. And you can't hardly find fried chicken like that at a restaurant anymore.
And you said it was delicious.
It was very good. Absolutely.
And I think Ray had the French dip, and Katie had fish and chips, and I had my little veggie sandwich, and it was lovely. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's fun to meet our listeners, and we showed them the studio, and that was fun. I think they picture some huge, vast thing, and
Yeah, with a hot
big.
tub and
Something with all Kelly's perks that he needs.
Yeah,
My
right.
gosh, we can hardly keep you with all your demands
the
that you
table
have.
full of food and
Yeah.
Oreos and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Homemade Oreos, organic.
Here we are stuck in a little, about a 12 by 12 foot room with no windows.
You have no idea what's happening outside.
Well, actually, you can see it watching the video of the webcast now. We have the video cast instead of just the podcast, so it's all on video.
That's right.
So go to our website at newsradio1310.com, click on Top Story, and then you can see all
see
the
where the
past
magic happens.
video cast. That's right. Or you can, well, yeah, that's the best way to do it. Or you can go to YouTube and search for KLIXcast, but best way to do it is just go through our website.
And I just have to say one thing. You know, on Saturday's paper, or it's either Friday or Saturday, I don't know which, where they have the little animals that are sponsored and by companies, and it's through the, people for pets, the animal shelter.
Yeah.
I was looking through there, and I saw the little kitten that we had taken home for the one day.
Uh-oh.
Little Joker. They've named him Joker. He is the sweetest little kitten. I said, Tom, I think this is our kitten. He looked, he goes, it is our kitten. I feel terrible. The kitten hasn't been adopted yet. Please, someone, please adopt this kitten.
Go to the animal shelter, tell them you want the kitty that was once
Joker.
owned by Jill Scheme.
Well, it wasn't really owned. It was loaned out. It was taken on loan. And I feel terrible about it. I still feel terrible. I about died when I saw his little face. He was so cute. He really was a sweet kitten. And if Gracie didn't have an absolute heart attack, we probably would have kept him, but she just was just beyond, and she's 14 and I can't do that to her. So someone please go to the animal shelter and adopt Joker. He's really cute.
736.
That's my plea, please.
736-2299 is the number for the animal shelter. So
I felt terrible. I still feel terrible thinking of him.
Our number is 736-0300.
Yeah.
And Randy Staples, who we normally have today for the Idaho Political Update, is involved in a special panel. He is moderating a panel for the celebration of the Idaho adjudication, Snake River Basin adjudication thing. That's kind of coming to an end now, I guess. So anyway, they've got him doing that. So he won't be with us today, but we are going to try to get him later on this week, maybe tomorrow. Meanwhile, quite a bit of news happened over the weekend. We got some other stuff to talk about, too. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence, how it could doom us. We've got a story of a couple in Virginia, I believe it was, or West Virginia, whose 13-year-old daughter was texting, and they turned her in to the police. Would you do that? We'll talk about that coming up. Meanwhile, this earthquake that rocked Napa Valley is quite a deal. There was a lot of damage done there.
Oh, yeah.
I think I've been to Napa, California, but I haven't been since I was a kid. I think we went
I haven't
through
been
there when I was a teenager, and that was the last time. But boy, it was a 6.0. That's right. I was going to say 6.9, but that sounded a little high. A 6.0 in Napa, California. The pictures are coming in. A lot of damage to some of the historic buildings there. And
it's a shame.
Probably the biggest shame is all that wine that fell to the floor and crashed. Nobody was killed, thank heavens. However, 3 people, I guess, are in pretty bad condition. 120 some were injured.
And it happened at 3:20 in the morning.
Yeah.
So you're really pretty much, no one's prepared for that,
Right. However, that if there were people out and about on the streets when that happened, probably would have gotten hit by a lot of the debris. So that could have been a blessing in disguise.
But how startling, 3:20 in the morning, and you just start hearing.
Yeah, one guy said that it probably lasted for 20 seconds or so. He said he kept trying to stand up, and it kept knocking him back down as he was trying to get himself and his daughter out of the house.
I know some people, they were so afraid to go back in, they just wandered the street. Like, really, they were afraid. I don't blame them.
A lot of tourists in the area, too. And I guess they were riding through the streets on bicycles, taking pictures. In fact, they were taking so many pictures at one point on their cell phones and sending them out that it shut down the cell tower, the cell system there for a while.
I'm telling you, if something like that happens, I think one of the last things I think about is, let me grab my phone and take pictures. I don't know.
Really? Not me.
I don't think
That'd be one of the first things I would do.
No, I mean, people are having problems, and you're sitting there taking pictures. Help someone. Like, do something.
I realize that, but what can you do? You know, I mean,
maybe pull them out of the rubble. I don't know. I mean,
don't
you're
think
just
there's
riding
anybody
around
caught in the
taking
rubble.
pictures. My gosh,
I would
they had
probably-
172 people went to the hospital.
I would probably take pictures. Send them to all my friends and relatives who knew I was on vacation.
I don't
Wow,
even
look
do
what
that
happened.
now. Yeah, wow. Look what happened on our vacation. But it's sad. The old buildings. There were like 15 to 16 buildings that are
I
red
know.
tag now.
Those are old historic buildings, too.
Mm-hmm. So it's just, and then they said they have several dozen that were.
It just goes to show you that stuff can happen anywhere at any time. Now, they say we here in the Magic Valley area are fairly safe. Although
we've had an earthquake a few years ago at Wells.
Nah.
Nothing like this, but still, you don't imagine that here.
Wells is not in the Magic Valley.
No, I mean, just in this part of the world. I mean, we don't think about, you think of California all the time.
They have them all around us.
Right.
There was that, what was that, 7 point something or other, 7.2 in Chalice that they had back in the 80s? I remember that one. I felt that when I was driving in a tractor down the road, and all of a sudden the tractor started swerving, and I thought, what in the world's going on? But it was an old tractor, and I thought probably just
it must not have been a line.
loose steering or something. I didn't pay too much attention to it. Then when I got back to the house, my wife said, wow, did you feel that earthquake? I said, oh, yeah, as a matter of fact, I did. That's what that was.
So it was in Chalice, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and it killed 2 kids.
Oh, goodness.
Walking to school or something. The facade came off the front of the post office and came down and crushed them. So, there, and then in Wells, that was a bad one. A lot of property damage and stuff there.
You just
but
don't
it's never
think
been
of
right
it
here
like
Twin
in this
Falls.
part of, even in Nevada, you think, California. Yeah. But that's, when I've been out to California before, I would sit there and think, gosh, any moment you could have an earthquake, like any moment, wherever you are. It kind of freaked me out, honestly. Right. It kind of bothered me when I was
In fact, I wanted
that.
to ask you, the listener, if you have had any relatives or anyone who lives in that area or maybe vacationing in there that you have heard from and have any stories to tell. It's always kind of interesting to get a local look on something like that, because when you stop and think about it, Napa, California is not all that far away. I mean, you can easily drive there in a day.
Well,
so
yeah, and you just think, it's the lush vineyards. It's so nice.
Oh, yeah.
So it probably does have a lot of tourists right now, but they said 9 million people felt that earthquake.
Yeah.
Yikes.
736-0300 is the number to call. Also, and the scientists will always tell you that, they're not related, but they had a strong earthquake in Peru Sunday evening, which injured 2 people and damaged buildings there. A house was destroyed, 19 other buildings were damaged, and that one was 7.0.
Well, they revised it down. They said to 6.9. That's where you got the 6.9 from.
Yeah, you're right. 6.9, 7.0. The thing to remember about the Richter scale is with each tenth of a point, like 6.9 to 7.0, that is 10. The 7.0 is 10 times worse than the 6.9.
Goodness.
And so a 6 to a 7, that would be 100 times.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that is a big deal. So when you get up into those higher numbers, there's a lot of damage that can be done. So it just goes to show that good old Mother Nature is not yet through with us, with the old Earth. She's still forming it and will continue to do so. However, I think in the Netherlands, they did downgrade the danger of the volcano blowing up and blowing airliners out of the sky. So commercial airlines, I guess, can now fly over a volcano that's there in the Netherlands again after having to swerve around it for a few weeks anyway.
Oh, my goodness.
736-0300 is the number to call. We'll be right back. 736-0300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. And it's like 57 right now.
Oh, goodness.
So I can feel fall in the air. There's no question about that.
I felt fall like a week ago. Like I said, it's so weird. It's August.
Well, but, it's almost fair time. So, in fact, fair starts this week.
It does, and the little kids are walking to school already. They've already started with
today's first day of school.
Misery on their faces.
Yeah, I know.
It's way too early.
And the parents are back home, dancing and
having a great time.
At any rate, when it does get kind of wet like this, feedlots or dairies kind of have this issue with manure. But not to worry, because Stanley and Company has the Lowen Honey Loader, which is capable of loading all types of manure, whether it be liquid or frozen or dry. In the past couple of weeks, it's probably been mostly liquid. But if you would be interested in one of these, or maybe you want to see one in operation before you plunk it down, want to talk to the owner and just see how it really works, see it in operation yourself, you can call Pat Hartzell at 280-1167. He can help you out, and he can make it so you can see one of these in operation. 280-1167. That's Pat Hartzell with Stanley and Company. He's the guy to get a hold of. Coming up, we're going to be talking about the militarization of our police. Looks like President Obama might be starting to take a second look at this program that sends Army tanks and mine-resistant vehicles to small towns. And I got a great quote from Rand Paul coming up that it was just... It fitted so well, but we'll be talking about that a little later in the show.
Hey, I just have to say, did anyone watch the Little League World Series? We started watching it because of Monet Davis, who was this 13-year-old girl from Philadelphia who was just an unbelievable pitcher, and she was on Sports Illustrated cover. And so they ended up losing, but this team from Chicago, sort of the underdogs, won the U.S. championship and went on to play South Korea. They ended up losing 8-4, but they were so enjoyable to watch, these little kids. And one of the pitchers from Chicago, he hit one of the kids, the South Koreans, in the back, when he was trying to pitch, and went over, shook his hand, and apologized, which you never see in Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball should take lessons from these kids. They were awesome. Adorable, but they get so emotional. Like when Nevada was playing Chicago and they did something bad, they just start crying right away, and they're just 11 to 13. Those are the age groups. But if you didn't have a chance to watch this, you missed something. And these will definitely be our future Major League Baseball players. And she was awesome. She was lovely, Monet Davis. If you haven't heard of her, look her up. Adorable young lady who held her.
M-O-apostrophe-N-E or something, isn't it?
Yeah, adorable. So anyway, it was fun to watch. But congratulations, South Korea, and congratulations, Chicago. So a lot of fun.
I want you now to put on your judge hat, okay? Everybody's a judge this morning. In a strange twist of fate, a naked reality star is suing VH1's pants off, all right? During an episode of the risque reality show Dating Naked, which I don't know how more stupid they are going to get with some of their...
It was Naked and Afraid, wasn't it?
This says Dating Naked.
This is Dating Naked? Okay.
Naked and Afraid, that's another one.
That's another... Okay, so then I got it confused.
It aired on July 31st. New York model Jessie Nisewitz claims the cable network aired uncensored footage of herself. Now she's filing a lawsuit against the show for $10 million. And it says, as you can see in the alleged not safe for work editing error, she might have a good case. In a statement, Nisewitz claims that she was told that her certain areas of her body were going to be completely blurred for the show and that she was manipulated and lied to. The Long Islander said, if you watch an episode, you will see that the blur actually makes it less revealing than a bikini would. Obviously, I did not expect the world to see that. As far as the fallout from the show, the reality star says her grandma is giving her the cold shoulder, and the man she had been dating, we're assuming regular, mostly clothed dating, isn't calling her back. In addition, New York Post reports Nisewitz has been heavily mocked online, making her literally the butt of everybody's jokes.
I think she said that they wanted her to wrestle, and so she agreed to, but only if they blurred out things. But she said that they did blur it, they didn't blur it.
Well, they didn't blur it well enough, apparently.
Apparently not.
For her,
so
because you could still
what
see
do
some
you
things.
think? Do you think she has a case here? I mean, first of all, if you sign up for a Dating Naked show, pretty much, don't you think everything would be shown?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen you've watched before Naked and Afraid. I've never seen that. So do they blur everything? How does that work?
They blur everything that that would be bad.
And can you see anything?
No.
I mean,
no.
So then what's the point? Maybe it should be called, I don't know, Blurred and Afraid in the Woods, because what's the naked part?
Or at least, give them fig leaves or something. And it is kind of interesting on the Naked and Afraid. It's kind of another edition of Survivor. But the naked dating, I mean, well, the other one is stupid, first of all, and this is really getting stupid. And then when you get to the point where you sign up for this stuff knowing what it's going to be, and then they do things that, why, they shouldn't have done that. It's like, come on, you're just asking for it. Now you're going to sue them for $10 million.
So do you think she has a case or not? What do you think?
7360300 is the number to call. 7360300 is the number to call. Okay, I stand corrected. Had a listener call during the break, and she said, when I said that the volcano was in the Netherlands, she said, I think it's in Iceland. And I think she's correct.
I think she might be.
No wonder, because it had one of those, the name of it was like one of those that's
weird
like
things.
40 or 50 letters long
Something
that you can't pronounce. So,
yeah.
All right. So So that's the one now that I guess they are lowering the danger level so airliners can fly over that volcano in Iceland.
Okay, good.
And instead of having to fly around it. So now you know.
Now we know.
Now you know.
Kelly's been corrected.
Yeah.
Again.
Hey, it's the first time this year.
It happens.
It's the first time this year.
I don't think so. What about Washington Street in Shoshone?
Okay, that was number 2. All right.
Right.
Well, I'm getting older.
We can't even keep track of how many times we both need to be corrected or are corrected. So there you go. But our listeners keep us straight.
That's right. So thank you to the listener for keeping me on the straight and narrow there. Anyway, so this model, what's her name, Nisewitz, do you think she has a... I mean, if you sign up for a show like this and you're going in wide, eyes wide open, it's going to be a naked dating show.
Yeah.
And they are just going to blur things out.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't blur out the right spot, so then you think you have a right to sue them for $10 million. I mean, it's like, it doesn't make any sense to me. If you thought that possibility was going to happen, I can see where maybe they didn't uphold their part of it. No problem. We're gonna blur this stuff out, and then they don't. But then you're going to sue them. It doesn't make sense to me, because why are you doing that to begin with? If
why
that would
even do
bother
the show
you,
to begin with?
Yeah, why even do the show?
I mean, your grandmother's giving you the cold shoulder, maybe because you agreed to do a naked and dating show,
yes.
And the guy finds out that you're doing a naked and dating show. I mean, come on.
7360300. Top story. You're on the air. Good
morning.
This is absolutely ludicrous. I mean,
Which
you get on a
part?
show.
Yeah.
You get on a show that's called Naked.
And dating.
It's being filmed.
Yeah.
You don't think you're being filmed naked?
Yeah.
That the blurring comes after the fact, not during the actual filming.
That's right.
I know.
Yeah, I would say no. She ain't got no case. She sounds to me like she's an adult that's kind of like these kids that post sexting and then wonder why it gets passed around.
Yeah, exactly.
It's only on nationwide TV. I don't know. And your grandmother? Are you kidding me? What my grandmother would have done if I told her? But
oh, yeah.
the caller's right. Yeah, it's blurred after the fact. But, to be fair, they wanted her to wrestle, and she said she'd only wrestle if they blurred it out.
Yeah.
Okay, what part of naked dating and wrestling even sounds good?
Yeah,
which part? I don't even get that. Who signs up for these shows to begin with? Really?
I think it's
people that want exposure, right?
Exactly, and they're
She
getting
got
it.
it.
They're getting it. And then when she gets it, then she wants to sue. It's almost like she's glad this happened, and now she's going to sue and get some free money out of it.
I didn't want them to see my vajayjay. Well, you know what? You signed up for Naked and Dating, and has anyone even watched the show? I'd like to know. You've seen Naked and Afraid, which when I saw
more
that,
out of curiosity than anything.
yeah, the word naked got you. But I'm like, what? Who watches this? What do you do for Naked and Afraid? What were they in like the wilderness? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, they take them.
How do you sit down?
Out to the.
How do you sit on a log and not scrape your tushy? I don't get this. I don't understand any of this.
Well, that's up to them.
I don't even understand.
They
can
find
just stand for
plants
days
and stuff and use them to make clothes. It's actually, from a survivalist type of viewpoint,
really?
It's actually quite interesting
quite
because
educational.
they can start out with one tool, or most of them they'll choose a pan, like a cooking pan, and like a knife or something. Each one gets a tool. and then they start from there, and it's sometimes.
So it was quite educational. Is that what you
it's
watched?
Very
it because
educational,
it was
and they are all ego-driven.
Yes.
I can do this with no problem. Da da da. And the first day out, they're ready to quit. It's really
first of all
humbling.
Me having to see my competitors, I'd quit right there. Go on.
7360300 top story. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Kelly just watches Naked and Afraid for the commercials.
Yeah, exactly. Who doesn't, right? Who doesn't?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for exposing me there.
Thanks for keeping Kelly's back. Yeah, it's just for the commercials. Oh
I don't know.
Goodness.
Our society, it is really sad when our society thinks that it has to stoop to levels like this. If you watch like the History Channel, the Discovery Channel, they used to have historical shows on. They used to have scientific shows on. And now they have garbage like this on.
Is this on? What channel is this on?
I don't even know what channel it's on. It's probably not even on one of those. But just for the record, the Discovery and the History Channel, I mean, they still have some good stuff on, but they have gone downhill. All the channels have gone downhill, and they're doing this, pushing the envelope in order to try to get viewers, and we as a society will watch that garbage.
Well, I don't watch
near as much TV as I used to, because there just isn't anything on worth watching anymore.
We watch a lot of Seinfeld refunds.
Yeah.
Seinfeld reruns.
7360300 is the number to call. We'll be right back. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. And if you want a chance to win a Savage 17 HMR with AccuTrigger, go into Canyon Pond because they'll be giving one away. And Canyon Pond is the newest pawn shop in Twin Falls, and it is nice and clean. They got some real cool stuff in there, newly remodeled on the inside. It's locally owned. It's just a great place to go. They got a lot of new stuff on the shelves, some of it still in boxes. They got camping supplies, woodworking, fishing poles, tools, anything you would expect to find in a pawn shop. Plus, this chance to win a Savage 17 HMR with AccuTrigger. And it's just fun to go in and browse around and tell Dave Hansen and the crew that we sent you in, and you'd like to find out how to win that little rifle. That'd be very cool. 17 Hornady Magnum rimfire rifle. I've watched. I would really like to have one of those, although I've got several 22s and I don't even shoot them as much as I should. So how can I justify? Never mind. I take
You're a
that
hoarder.
back. You never have to justify getting another gun.
You're a hoarder.
You never have to justify that. You can't own too many guns. So anyway, they've got guns at Canyon Pond along with a lot of other stuff. They're on South Shoshone Street, right across the street from Will's Toyota, right there on the corner. So stop in and tell them we sent you and have a good time. 736-0300 is the number. Top Story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Jill. Kelly, you can never have too many guns.
That's right. That's what I just said.
Anyway, I've got a deal that has frustrated me a little bit since it was on the news the other day. This Miss Africa beauty contest, why don't they call it really what it is? I mean, we've got a Miss America contest. These people are American citizens. They're not African citizens. They're of African descent. I mean, you didn't see anybody from South Africa there, which was settled by the English in the 1700s. They qualify as Africans. I didn't see any white Africans there. Let's call it what it is. It's a black beauty contest. Let's take the segregation out of, or keep the segregation out of it. They can be Miss America, they can be Miss whatever, but they don't need to be Miss African. That was, just kind of irritating. Everybody's playing the race card, and they play it worse than anybody. Thank you. Bye.
All right, thanks for the call.
Well, thanks. I mean, it's Miss Africa. There were different countries in Africa, and it was about their heritage, and it was a pageant, and it goes on to, I think, higher levels to international and whatever. So, you know what? I don't think because you celebrate your background or your diversity, but you're playing the race card. You're celebrating your background and your diversity.
736-0300, Top Story. You're on the air.
Yes, I'd like to agree with that last caller. Even the magazines you pick up here, you pick up an Ebony magazine, it's all black. It's okay for them to do it. It's okay for them to segregate, and that's what it is. But it's not okay in a white magazine to not have enough African Americans. And I'm sick of that already. I've seen that all the time. Thank you.
All right, thanks for the call. Well, that's kind of an interesting
this
subject.
show has taken a different turn.
It sure has.
Jeez,
Top Story, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly. Good morning, lovely Jill.
Good morning.
Two things. My last caller's too much time on your hands. But I got a question for you, too. You guys are claiming that this girl and she knew. Would you guys, if money was no option, and you got to compete with some other from radio personalities from all over the world, would you guys do it a Naked and Afraid?
Naked and Afraid? Are you kidding me?
No.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh.
I'm sorry, but to see Kelly naked or for him to see me naked, I'd die. Are you kidding?
I'll tell you what.
There are limits.
I am not easy to look at fully clothed. I'll just be honest with you right now. Full disclosure, I am not easy to look at fully clothed.
Can you imagine if we were sitting here naked? I'd pass out. Are you kidding me? Not just for you,
well,
for me.
especially now that we're on video, we'd have some blurring of our own to do. 736-0300, Top Story. You're on the air.
Yeah, I agree with the two callers before the last one. They also, another thing that bothers me is that they're really pushing that little league team from Chicago that are all black. Can you imagine if they said, we got our first all-white baseball team, they might go all the way. You'd be called a racist, but they can sure glorify this all-black team and not be called racist.
Well, we've had a lot of all-white teams, and it's sad because there was a little league team, I think it was 1951, and they were all black, and the white teams wouldn't play them, so they weren't allowed to participate in the World Championship because no white teams would play them. So we've had plenty of white teams. I don't think there's a problem to celebrate your diversity. We're a land of immigrants, even though blacks were brought here as slaves. I don't understand the problem here.
If I may turn this back the other way, because we were kind of talking about this Naked and Afraid stuff, and it had another thing that come up that I wanted to talk about and I wanted to ask you about. A Virginia couple turned in their teen daughter to the local police after they discovered that she was exchanging racy images on her electronic devices. The girl, who is 13, has been using her phone to send nude photos of herself to boys, the parents said. Looking through the phone and the tablet, we did find sexual pictures, conversations that were very inappropriate for her age. She's 13, remember. The mother of the girl told WTVR. Her name has been withheld to protect her daughter's identity. Everybody wanted to be her friend because, according to these people, she was cool now. The mom said that the girl received messages from at least one boy who appeared to be in his late teens asking if she wanted to have sex. That led them to contact the Dinwiddie County Sheriff's Office. They took her daughter to the station and turned her over for questioning. Police say that they're investigating the case. The boy who sent the messages is believed to be a senior at an area high school. Depending on his age, that could mean felony charges, but prosecutors said that there are other options available. The girl may also face charges. Commonwealth Attorney Lisa Caruso said that in such cases, juveniles are sometimes ordered to enter a 12-week program consisting of group classes. The parents would get involved and there would be some counseling. The middle schooler's parents confiscated their daughter's electronics devices.
Well, that's a good thing.
My question is, if you were faced with this, if your 13-year-old daughter was sexting and you found out about it, would you take care of it internally or would you turn her in to the police? Now, I realize that this boy that was probably in his late teens, now he might be in serious trouble.
I think that's when they decided,
would you turn him into the police, or would you give them a chance and say, look, I know what you're doing with my daughter. If this continues, I'm going to the police. Would you at this point allow the police to become involved in something that you discovered such as this, or would you take care of it yourself? I would be prone to try to take care of it myself. There's no reason you can't confiscate the girl's electronic devices. You can ground her to her room until she's 75 years old. You can do a lot of things, but why should we always take these things to the police and want them to handle it?
Maybe he is a serial pedophile or something. Maybe he goes after 13-year-olds. Maybe she's not the first one he's gone after. And in this world that's happening, I mean,
but
at some
he's
point
not. Maybe he's just being a 17-year-old
maybe they're
boy.
investigating it, but
would you go to the police in a situation like this?
I don't know if the guy. Well, that's why they went, because he said, "Do you want to have sex with her?" You don't know what's out there, and maybe they're trying to protect other kids.
Would you go to the police?
I don't know. I don't have kids. I don't know how I'd feel.
736. I would not go to the police first
Okay.
time. All right, put me on the record. 736-0300. Top story. You're on the air. What would you do?
But, this proves my point, Kelly. I mean, these guys, these kids and everything, we're in an age of electronics. And if anybody doesn't understand how they work in this day and age, they're ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing how a kid 5 years old will know how to run a laptop or something better than most adults. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, they're clueless on where all this stuff goes.
I think
maybe we should have a law that you can't have your own personal cell phone until you're like 18 years old.
And you got to watch what you say, Kelly, because you said, "Well, I can get away with this and that and the other." I'm finding out more and more you can't get away with anything.
That's
you even
true.
look at a kid.
That's true.
Even look at a kid cross-eyed,
Yeah.
and you can find yourself in jail.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
But she did know where it was going, and she thought that was making her popular. And I mean, that's sad to me that a girl would have to think that's what you'd have to do to become popular. And I think she definitely needs some counseling. And
736-0300. Would you go to the police? Top story. You're on the air.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to make sure this gets on record, because if this boy is an offender again, then you won't say, well, we don't really have anything on record of him doing this. So you want to put it on record, A, and B, you want to take that young man and that young woman through the jailhouse and let them walk through and see what kind of people are in the jail, and tell this young lady, this could have been one of the people that maybe was texting you. And, they don't look like Prince Charming. I've been through the jails, and I've seen what type of characters are in there, and it's not a pleasant thing. And she would probably hear a few things that she didn't want to hear at that age, but it might set a good example for her.
Well, remember parents used to take their kids, they used to have that Scared Straight program, and they'd take them to prisons and talk to hardened criminals. And, in some ways you have to show this is serious.
Okay, if we were to do that, if we were to take your 13-year-old daughter to the police, are we then expecting the police to raise our kids, or is this something that we can handle at home?
Why is that raising your kids?
Why
is that not a teachable moment that, look, you could have been raped. This is the person who could be contacting you. You think you're 13, you have absolutely no judgment at all. The fact that you're even doing this. I mean, you show them and you teach them, look, this is what happened. This is what could happen. Who knows if they didn't see that? What if she hooked up with this guy? Just think, they prey on kids like this. I think the caller's right. You get it on record. This guy could be after young girls.
73603. See, that's the thing. It seems like we're focusing more on the guy now than we are on our own kid. This is a teachable moment for our own kid, but now all of a sudden everybody's interested in this other guy.
Well,
which
there's
is
two
fine.
components here.
I understand the interest, but why? I think a parent can probably do a better job at home for a first-time offense like this than the police can.
I think you can. Why?
And why
Talk
should
to
we
the
burden?
police.
Why should
What's
we
wrong
burden
with
the police with something like this that our 13-year-old girl is doing?
Because this is
when we can
considered
do it
a
ourselves?
felony. This is considered a felony. So there you go.
736-0300. Top story. You're on the air. What would you do?
Yeah, good morning. What I would do is, first of all, get the facts. Maybe the 13-year-old girl is acting like an 18-year-old. Who knows? We don't know the facts yet. But I would definitely take it into my own hands as a parent, and I'd also contact his parents, and we'd get together and knock this thing out as we should, as parents. The police don't need to get involved, because certainly we don't know all the facts.
Exactly.
And I think we as parents have the responsibility and duty to our children to keep them safe and keep them out of harm's way. And if in fact the boy has got an issue, we'll find it out.
That's right.
I mean, there are certain parameters that parents put on their children, and I think those things should be worked out without the police. And then if it goes beyond that, then and rules are broken, then that's another story.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
so then what?
Yeah.
So then he has sex with another 13-year-old, and you're like, oh, that's the first time it
You're already
happened?
assuming. You're already
no,
assuming
but when
this
you're
has
saying
happened. No,
you said if something else happens, then you deal with it. Well, the next thing that could happen
No,
is he hooks up with a 13-year-old.
No, you have parameters. When you put those parameters, you take his stuff away and hers, and you have, you as a parent got to be smart enough to know what's going on in your kid's life. And if you don't, then you're failing as a parent. Then I guess you have to go to the police because you don't want to address your own problems in your own family.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's.
This guy might just be a guy that just being a 17 or 18-year-old kid, and maybe has no intentions of doing anything, but you could ruin his life right there.
You're worried about his life?
Well,
and then these guys go on to college, and what? And then look what's happening in our college campuses today.
See, you've already tried and convicted him. See,
how do you know he isn't after other 13-year-olds? How do you know?
He might be.
So maybe, that's why you put it.
Maybe
you should find
out.
That.
Why do the police always have to deal with? The police
got
enough going on.
It's only a felony. That's okay.
The police got enough.
They'll
going
deal with
on
it
here.
after he's raped a 13-year-old.
We'll be right back after the news at the top of the hour from the Fox Radio News Network on News Radio 1310 KLIX. And welcome back to Top Story. 7360300 is always the number to call. I don't know if it's raining now again or not.
I went out there and I glanced. It didn't look like it.
I was kind of surprised to find out that it had rained that much during the night.
How much did it rain?
Well, I don't know. There were puddles. Pretty big puddle. That's how I gauge it.
So that's a lot. I don't know what the airport says, but there were puddles. Now, it poured, this morning, there was a huge downpour. Did you hear it this morning?
What time was that?
It was about 5:30, between 5:36, 6:30. It was pounding at our house.
No, see, I was at work at 5. I was here at 5.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm saying it poured at our house. You're saying it didn't pour? It did.
I don't know. I don't think it did here. Maybe it did.
At our house,
I
it
was
did.
busy.
I'm sorry, Kelly. I guess since you didn't hear it, it didn't pour.
Happen. That's right.
No, I remember saying,
if a tree falls in the forest and nobody sees it, does it make a noise?
Yeah, I don't know. I saw the tree fall. It was definitely raining at our house. It was probably maybe between 6:30. It was pouring, actually. It came on suddenly. And actually, Friday night, we had a little rehearsal dinner for Tom's niece got married, so they had it at the Stone House downtown, which is an old building, renovated, and they started to do speeches, and it was so loud. I don't know if it was hail or just pouring. You couldn't even hear because of the tin roof.
Friday night, that was all the hail that we were getting.
The hail. Well, it was about after 7 or something, but anyway, it was so much. It was a tin roof, so you couldn't even hear people give their speeches. We're like, what?
They're noisy even with just rain, but boy, when it hails, it's
oh my
worse.
Gosh!
They're
and you
dropping
just
marbles on it.
When did we have weather like this? This is like Ohio, New England weather for a while.
It's very odd. This is probably, according to Brian Nyworth of KMVT, this could very well be a record-setting August of all time for moisture in 1 month. Mm-hmm. So, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't remember it ever. I think it's in my almost 62 years here in the Valley, I've seen it rain quite a bit, but I don't think I've seen it rain this much in 1 month.
This long. Day after day after day. Yeah.
August is generally pretty stable around here.
It's pretty dry, isn't it? Hot and dry?
Yeah.
Hot and dry.
They starting to cool off and such, so.
The fair should be interesting then.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to heat up the end of the week. Okay.
Yeah, probably will. It's always hot for the fair. 7360300 is the number to call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What?
I was talking to a farmer last night, and he was telling me that he remembered in '59 where they didn't get, a bunch of people didn't even get their beans up because of the weather like this. So you guys, whatever happens, it comes around again. It's just a cycle.
That's right. It is absolutely. Yeah. In '59,
we could call it global warming or change or whatever, but I call it Earth's natural evolution, or what do you want to call it? It just comes around in cycles.
Yeah, it's a weather cycle. It really is. But in '59, I would have been 7 years old, so I don't particularly remember that year, but I do remember other years.
I know. I love how people go, well, 1959, it was like this. Okay. How many years ago was that?
Yeah. 7360300, top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'd like to go back to the conversation you were having before the break. there was a fellow that called, I think maybe a second before the break, that made a sensible suggestion. And it was turned into a part of the conversation I didn't understand. He suggested that young people who are headed for trouble be taken down to a jail situation and shown inmates and shown what happens. And I know that in a lot of states, that's an organized program. Now, he didn't say take anybody down to the station and book them and have the police department start an investigation. In fact, I didn't hear him say have the kids go down by themselves. I heard him say have their parents take them down and have them shown through a jail to see the people that inhabit what we call the seedy part of life. And in this, I'm sorry, I don't know where these two kids are from, but in this valley,
Virginia.
Kids rarely get to see, fortunately, the seedy part of life. And I thought his suggestion was very good, and I didn't see the need to start projecting where these kids were going or anything like that, or turning them over to the police. This is a show and tell by loving parents to show the kids something that kids don't normally get to see until they're already in trouble.
True.
I agree with you.
That was my comment. I
Yeah.
just hated to see that good suggestion washed over and turned into something that it was not, at least as this listener heard it.
The crux of the story is that these parents that we're talking about, they actually took their 13-year-old daughter down and turned her in to the police.
Oh, well.
Well, it was because
that's kind of where
they turned her in after the 18. Well, they didn't turn her in. They took her down there because the 18-year-old then asked if she wanted to have sex, which was then considered a felony. But I mean, I think she should know. I agree. I mean, we talked about scared straight. You have to show
I think that's a wonderful program. I think it's a great program.
This is what happens. I mean, you could have been raped. I mean, a 13-year-old doesn't understand. I don't think they understand what happens. They're 13. I don't know.
I agree.
So I mean, I agree. I don't think that's bad. I think the parents, they care and say, look, this is what could happen. And I think also with the 18, or we don't know how old he is. They're going to find out. He should know, too. Look, this isn't a joke. This is a 13-year-old. This is a felony. This is what happens.
I don't know. I'm still thinking. See, I don't remember. Did I take this call? Top Story,
you're
on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Listen to your previous callers, the ones that were claiming the blacks were isolating themselves and all this. There is this fabulous comedian, iconic. His name is George Carlin.
Yeah.
I advise them to listen to it because there's one joke he makes, and I loved it. He says, all these white people came to America yearning to be free, but yet wanting to be slave owners. Yet, and keep the black man down. And then they wanted more land, so they took it from the Indians. And so they wanted to be more free, and so they took land from the Mexicans. And so, right, and then the war, they wanted to spread freedom in the Middle East. They wanted to kill the brown people. So I'm telling you, that joke, it's not funny, but it just makes you reflect the history of this country. Thank you.
Yeah. I think I remember seeing him do that bit, actually. It does make you, it's funny what comedians can point out, and you look at it and you're like, the irony of it all.
Well, a new story here. Lawmakers are welcoming the White House's decision to review the program that allows for the transfer of military-grade weapons to local law enforcement in the wake of recent protests in Ferguson, Missouri, which is stealing for the funeral today of the black teen killed on August 9th. Representative William Lacey Clay, Missouri Democrat, applauded Mr. Obama's quick action on the matter after he met with fellow Missouri Democrat Representative Emanuel Cleaver and Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel about the program. Remember, we've talked about this on several occasions, about how a lot of the police departments around the country are being furnished Army tanks and full automatic weapons and MRAP vehicles and all these kinds of things, which, I don't know, I can understand their use in some cases, but in other cases, it just seems like an intimidation by the police department.
I think it started, they said, after 9/11 or whatever.
Right,
they had
it
extra
did.
stuff. And so, and the drug wars and whatever, because
I think it's one of those ideas that sounds like a good idea
until
at the
it's
start until you start doing it.
So it's used, and then it looks like a war zone, like Baghdad and Ferguson.
Senator Rand Paul was quoted by the Washington Times by saying, I'll just read it. It says, Senator Rand Paul, Kentucky Republican, who had previously called for the demilitarization of local authorities, pointed out a few appropriations to localities he said simply are not necessary. He said Homeland Security gave $8 million to Fargo, North Dakota to fight terrorism. And I say, and I thought this was funny, I say if the terrorists get to Fargo, we might as well give up.
Oh, jeez.
Mr. Paul said on NBC's
You have to wonder, too, if it's his quote. He does have a
Press.
history of plagiarism.
Well, whoever quoted
said
it, whoever
yeah.
said it, I think it's funny.
Yeah.
He said, I say that as a joke, but I mean, it's like, what are we doing spending $8 million in Fargo? What are we doing sending a tank that's an unarmed personnel carrier in Keene, New Hampshire? I don't know anything about Keene, New Hampshire. But the issue of police militarization has the potential to build a left-right coalition, as libertarian-leaning conservatives, such as Mr. Paul, have been critical of the trend for years and could join minority and liberal Democrats. This was on further display last week at the Cato Institute, where one of its scholars led a presentation decrying the trend and noting that before Ferguson, it had been going on with little awareness of on the part of the state and local policymakers who pay and oversee the police and sheriff's units. So what do you think? We've talked about this militarization of the police before. Looks like the White House is now looking at it and maybe having second thoughts. Is this something that we need to back off on, or should we continue full speed ahead? 736-0300, top story. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly, Jill. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing
how
well.
are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Semper Fi.
We haven't heard from you in a while. How are you?
I'm fine. One thing you guys have to understand, you never bring a knife to a gunfight. In other words, you remember the shootout that happened in L.A. after the bank robbery?
Right, I remember that.
And the officers were not well equipped with the equipment that they should have had to handle this situation. When police officers go to a situation like this, say such as the riot, they always go prepared to a what if. What could happen if? And so it's not saying that they're going to use these things, but you don't want to bring, just their themselves. You bring them prepared just in case something happens. And that's why it may look like an over-exercise force, but it's only to protect the officers that's out there in case something bigger takes place.
I understand. It just seems that, when you look at what happened in Ferguson, and they say a lot of these police officers are not trained in this equipment, but when you see when it's then pulled out and used when people are, trying to demonstrate or protest, I mean, I'm sorry, it looked like it was a little much. It looked like we were in Baghdad. It really did. And you think, was it really necessary for all those tanks, for all those rifles, for everyone to be shooting like these people are, they're aiming their guns at people trying to get into their homes? I think it's a little much. I think the police should be equipped. I read a book on the Secret Service who don't have weapons that are even close to what they have to deal with.
A lot of the vets of the
that.
Iraq and Afghanistan war said that they didn't have equipment like that when they were on the front lines.
I mean,
so
that
kind of makes you wonder.
For a local police department, I mean, I wonder how much we have in our department.
736-0300 is the number to call. We'll be right back. 736-0300 is the number to call here on Top Story. So our discussion is, what do you think? The White House is now taking a second look at this program of arming many of our police departments with heavy-duty military equipment. Is that a good thing or a bad thing that the White House is taking a second look at it? This is kind of a divisive issue that it'll surprise you, the people who are on either side of this thing. Mm-hmm. But before we get back to that, Friday's $100 instant winning name is Marvin Titus.
Marvin Titus, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is learn.
Learn.
Learn. With this
Learn.
being first back-to-school day from the summer for a lot of the kids, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of our words this week have to do with that.
Poor little pumpkins down the street at Oregon State Elementary. They're
having
like,
to go back to school in the middle of the summer. You can go to our website at newsradio1310.com, click on Word of the Day, type in Learn, and listen tomorrow. And if you hear your name tomorrow and you played the word today, $100 will be coming your way.
That's it.
That's all you have to do. 7360300 is the number. Top story. You are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. My question is, why did the local cops have to have her fatherland security to help them serve papers? Are they so mentally deficient that they can't do their job themselves?
Wait, what? Who was serving papers for what?
On some guy for pornography on his computer or something here. It was told over the radio.
The Department of Homeland Security?
Her fatherland security.
Okay, the Department of Homeland. You know, I have to admit, I wonder the same thing. It used to be I have seen a lot of news accounts lately where instead of the local police doing something, it's the Department of Homeland Security, which I believe are federal agents, right?
They are.
I have to admit, I wondered the same thing. I don't know the answer to that.
I'm not familiar. What case? I don't know what he's talking about. What case
I
is he
think
talking about?
in a lot of maybe higher profile cases, instead of the police going to arrest someone because they are violation of parole or something, it's the local police and the Department of Homeland Security. And it may not have anything to do with anything
and it's not a federal case or
country.
Anything. Maybe that's why.
I've noticed this same trend. 7360300. Top story. You're on the air.
Yes, I'm glad you brought this up because I know from experience, even in the local Magic Fire area, that Boise has like once a year or twice a year a military auction stuff where the police department chiefs can go up and bid on stuff like leftover lot sales and stuff. And most of the stuff is like brand new that was discontinued before it even got shipped in, but they received it anyway. And most of the departments that went up there don't need this type of stuff, but they were eligible for it because they were in the police force and that there, and the counties paid for it. But when they got it home, most of that stuff got set for a month or two from those auctions. The workers took the stuff home with them. In fact, that it wasn't needed, but they bought other lots and stuff, and it was packed off with the taxpayers' money a couple of times. That we paid it for the military, that we paid it for the county taxes of them packing stuff home.
So we're paying for it 2 or 3 times.
Yes, and half the stuff is not even stuff we needed on, but they buy it anyway because they think, it looks neat, and they might need it one day, and it sits around, and they get rid of it, and they get packed off to the house.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of funny things going on. I don't have the answer for everything. I know that might be hard to believe. But,
it's so hard, Kelly. It's very hard.
But 7360300, top story. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Yes, I was going to say that I think a lot of the militarizing the police is really bad, and because I think what they're doing is I think there's going to be a lot of unrest in this country. Because of all the unemployment, and the country economically is a lot worse shape than a lot of people even know. There's a lot of homeless in Seattle, Portland, Denver, and I think they fear more unrest. And I think that thing that happened in Ferguson wasn't just racial. A lot of those people are out of work. So to me, it was more of a class warfare.
I'm not sure about
I think
that.
what you said, I kind of have to agree with that, too. I think that a lot of the departments, maybe unknowingly, maybe being somewhat naive, getting this equipment from the feds gearing up for more unrest, maybe a little civil disobedience among the populace from people who don't like what's going on from the White House on down. I think it's all part of it. Call me a conspiracy theorist if you want, but I believe that. 7360300, top story, you're on the air.
Hey, Kelly and Joe, it's Carl, your favorite commodity driver.
Hi, Carl.
How are ya?
Good, on my way to Montana.
Be careful.
You might run into snow.
I hope not. That's too early for that.
Yeah.
Listen, I think that, this is really turning into a whole country is turning into a police state. I mean, it's getting to where the people are afraid of the police when that's not what they're supposed to do. And, it's not just the thing that happened in Ferguson, but everybody's being treated as a criminal, just getting pulled over.
Yeah, you're automatically assumed guilty rather than innocent.
Definitely, I think that's been the situation over there, and that's not what it should be about.
Well, I think it's not just, it's everywhere.
Well, I
don't think we notice it so much here because, I don't know, we're kind of in a unique area, but I don't know.
Some people probably do.
I think the feds are gearing up for a crackdown on we common folk when we don't like what's going on. I think that's what this is all about, and I think many of the police departments are naively accepting this equipment without realizing that. We'll be right back. 7360300 is the number to call. For the next minute or so, I want to talk about something that might seem a little odd.
Really? Not you, Kelly.
Watering your plants. Actually, watering your fields.
Right now.
Yeah, with all the rain that we've had and the hail, and a lot of the crops are in dire straits right now. But there's the one thing about the farmer, they are always the eternal optimist because it's always, well, next year will be better. And that's exactly how you get through this farming thing. And the folks at Far More of Idaho realize that, and they have what's called infrared barren, where they do flyovers of your field. And with infrared photography, you can tell if the water is getting to certain parts of your field, if you're getting too much, if you're not getting enough, and whatever is happening, if you know that's going on, then you can take steps to fix the problem, and the result is going to be higher yields. So if you want the maximum out of your farm, ask Far More of Idaho about infrared barren. This comprehensive imaging service starts with a low-cost, high-frequency flight, so you can keep track of what is actually going on in your field practically on a daily basis. So give them a call. They know all about it, and they can explain it to you better than I can at 324-3341 or at farmoreofidaho.com. Are you still on Facebook? A lot of people, 1.3 billion people are on Facebook. Do you realize that is over 1/7 of the population of the world?
That's scary. I mean, if you say I'm on Facebook, I have a Facebook. Do I do much? No, I don't. I find it annoying. I mean, honestly. And then you see all the stuff people, it's like, my gosh, they don't have enough to do.
Well, many people, including Idahoans, are starting to leave Facebook.
Oh, goodness. Where are they going?
And it's not a really huge amount now, but, at first the kids really glommed onto it because that was a cool place to go and they could talk to their friends and they could do stuff.
Yeah, my nephew, I remember when it first came out and he told me about it, but he was in college and they were all, or I think it was high school. And so it was a way to connect with their high school friends,
right.
And it was just sort of for them. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat.
Well, and then mom and dad got on, and they got accounts, and all of a sudden they're friending their kids, and now now
Total
the kids
no.
Now the kids can't really put a lot of the stuff on that they would really like to. So the kids are leaving it and going to things like
elsewhere.
Twitter and what was it? I just said it a minute ago. Instagram, yeah, and places like that. And I have found, too, that I was fairly active on Facebook when I first started. And it's really nice to look up old friends, old classmates and such.
They always say that.
But
yeah.
after a while, I get tired. And I was doing it myself. You put up your political views and your religious views and all this stuff, which is fine. But after a while, it gets a little old. And pretty soon, when you go to something like this to kind of escape from the real world for a while, and all you do is you see this depressing stuff that people are putting up, so you kind of back away from it. So I've backed away from it quite a bit, and I've just been lately putting up stuff like some of my things that I build, or like yesterday, I sealed the floor of the deck, and so I put a picture of that on there.
Like everyone would be interested.
Absolutely.
Everyone would want to look at your deck. Is that right, Kelly?
Well, especially relatives,
Oh, I'm sure, because they want to see our little Kelly class seal his deck.
Absolutely.
You have to wonder in some ways, like, do you really think anyone's interested at all in the fact that you seal your deck?
Of course they are. They tell me on Facebook. They like my
yeah,
picture.
let's just like it and humor him. I am not liking it. I'll tell you right now.
So my question is, have you backed off from Facebook? I know a lot of people have Facebook
Maybe the first question is, do you know what Facebook is? If you do, have you backed off?
7360300. See, we're getting calls already from people who
they
like
want to tell you how great your deck was.
Top story. You're on the air. How are you today?
I am fine, I think. How do you get off of Facebook? I have tried to get out of it, and it won't let me out. Somebody said you go to your account, but it won't let you out.
Oh, well, you just don't check into it anymore.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you'll probably still have the account, but what I mean is, rather than closing the account, just not paying that much attention.
Why can't you close it? Because Facebook now uses those
You
numbers
probably
for those advertisers. Like this guy,
Yeah.
Instead of saying we have 1.7 billion, well, maybe 0.7 are not even active and don't want to be, but they can't get out of it.
That could very well
It's like
be.
a fake number to advertisers.
I have never really, because I know that doing certain things in Facebook are difficult, especially when it's something like that, because they want you to hang around for a while.
It helps their numbers.
It's like you can easily get into the store, you just can't easily get out.
You can never get out. Once you're in, you can't get out.
It's like those dreams that you have, when you're still in high school and you go to school naked, and you can't find any clothes,
and then you find out it's
and then
naked
you can't
and
get
dating,
out.
and then you sue the producers.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's right.
It all comes full circle.
But I don't know. I would be. It seems like a lot of people who were quite active there at first are now kind of backing off, and I would just kind of like to know what you think about that. If you have done the same thing, and if you have gone back to life,
and how much time do you have now in your life?
I tell you, some
Plenty.
people on there. When I go on there and I make a post, there are people who like it right away. It's like they live on it. It's like, how do you stand that?
They're like, why are you posting this?
Yeah, that's right. What do you mean you're not interested in how I'm sealing my deck? Everyone should be interested in that. We'll be right back. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story, and welcome back. We're talking about Facebook.
We are, and I just
actually,
had to go look to see what people post. It's ridiculous.
All of the social media sites, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And it seems like that, gosh, we just can't get along without them nowadays, I was just reading here statistics from a January study by digital consultancy iStrategy Labs show that more than 11 million young people left the social media site between 2011 and 2013.
But they couldn't get off. They can't log off their accounts.
That's right.
They're still in there.
Their naked pictures are still on there. But that's not a huge dent. As of December 2013, the world's largest social network had 1.23 billion monthly active users. So apparently they do keep track of the ones that are active as opposed to the ones that are not, according to a Facebook news release from earlier this year. But it shows this person they're talking about is part of a growing minority choosing to simply opt out.
I don't feel sorry for Mark Zuckerberg. I don't feel bad. I don't care. I mean, it's always the excuses. No, I'm on Facebook so you can see pictures of the grandchildren. Like, you can't email it to people. I don't know. I'm like so over it. I was never really in it. I don't care.
Yeah, you're right. And you're kind of, that's kind of your modus operandi. You don't really get caught up in a lot of the.
I don't. But, they tell you should because, I have a cookbook to promote, so you try to post stuff.
Sure,
and then I think, gosh, how narcissistic. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what I'm at the farmer's market. And I always feel like, I'm so narcissistic that everyone needs to know. You know what I mean? I get this.
You don't think people would be interested in if you sealed your deck?
No, they won't. But you know what I'm saying? I kind of have that thing like, everyone will care that I'm here or there. I have this... But they tell you, you need to do it because you want to promote your business, blah, blah, blah.
See, the downside to this is with all the stuff that we're going online with and all these postings that were put, that stuff stays there forever.
Ever.
And the NSA has this information, ladies and gentlemen.
Please.
Keep that in mind.
NSA can't even get the email from CSI. I'm sorry. It's taken months and months and months.
They just haven't asked the right people yet. They need to go to the NSA.
Please.
And all that information that we put on these social media sites about, I bought a new gun today. And I got all that stuff is going in your folder at the NSA for the future government. Well, actually, the current government of the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen.
Like they care.
Hey, call me paranoid, call me whatever, but I think that's part of the deal.
No, the thing of it is if you're going to be hired, if you're going to have a job, if you're going to have a position, you have to watch what you say.
That's right.
I'm sorry, you
Prospective employers are going onto Facebook and looking you up. In fact, I was talking to my grandson the other day, and I noticed he had changed to another name on there, and I said, why did you do that? Well, he says, when I'm applying for jobs and stuff, I just thought it would be best, if they didn't go on there. And, some of my postings could have been...
Did he delete some of his... Can you delete your postings?
Yeah, you can, if you can find them.
Yeah.
The deal of finding them is that's kind of the big deal right there.
I don't know. I just think people put too much out there. They use it as a political forum. If you have a business and you don't think anyone's checking your personal stuff, you're crazy. And I think some of the things you say, if you have a business, you should be careful in anything. Yeah. I think I'm just more paranoid. You should just be
careful, period.
I think so. And, when
you go on vacation and you post it, we're leaving now, you just as well write a note to all the thieves in town that
absolutely
check out my place while we're gone.
I know, it's like so true, and it lives forever. And I just think, and a lot of times just being on the radio show, a lot of times I just don't write letters to the editor anymore because I'm like, we have our 2 hours. This is the time we can talk about it, and
nobody reads the letters to the editor anymore anyway.
Actually, a lot of people do.
A few that die.
Anyway, I don't know. I just say. I don't even know what it is. I don't know what it's turned into. I wonder if this is what Mark Zuckerberg thought. Did he think the entire world would be on Facebook and we'd all know everything and see everything?
Well, you got to admit that Bill Gates was pretty close when he said a computer in every home with Microsoft software in every computer.
Yeah.
Or words to that effect.
Or something like that.
I'm not saying that exactly right. But,
or something like that.
And he was pretty darn close.
A computer in every home, like a chicken in every pot or whatever.
Yeah, or 2 cars in every garage. Remember that one back in the 50s, I think it was?
Actually, I don't remember that one, Kelly.
At least a car in every garage.
At least something in every garage. And then a TV. They were started in the 50s, right? A TV in every home.
Yeah, late 40s, I think it was.
Anyway.
I remember when color TV came around. That was a big deal.
Yeah?
NBC. Following program is brought to you in living color on NBC. Dun. That's right.
Dun, dun, dun.
So anyway, but we digress. But it's just that I've backed off from Facebook. I know a lot of people, I think a lot of the kids are leaving for the obvious reasons. And maybe Facebook is kind of one of those, I think it'll always be around, but I think it'll kind of settle down eventually. And
let's see if you can actually get off your Facebook account.
Yeah, that's a challenge. Yeah, can you actually?
I can't even figure out the privacy things. I don't even know. But yeah, try it. Try it today, Cal. See if you can get off.
Okay, I'll see if I can do that. I'll report back to you tomorrow.
And then repost your sealed deck.
Well, I'll do that first in case I am successful in getting off, because I want everybody to see my sealed deck.
Okay, because we're all interested.
That's right. Absolutely. I know that you are sitting out there chewing your fingernails right now, and it's time for the Huckabee Report, brought to you by Waddell & Reed. You can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed, Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger, financial advisors, and the number is 736-6563. Just again, reiterating, if you want a chance to win a free lunch with Kelly and Jill at the Canyon Crest Dining and Event Center, like Ray Massey and his wife Katie did with us last Friday.
I know. We had such a nice time.
We did. Go to the website at newsradio1310.com, click on Win Lunch with Kelly and Jill, and then fill out your information, and then be listening. The first part of September, we'll be pulling another name out of the hat for another lunch.
That's how easy. We're going to do it September 2nd, because the 1st is Labor Day.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to pull it the 2nd.
Be on a Tuesday then, next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, August is almost done.
Oh, it's so depressing. I don't know why. It still always just reminds me of going back to school. all those years, the summer was over. It would always bum me out, and then we'd have to go back to school.
Oh, my. And
I
that's
don't
been
know.
how many decades
Gosh,
ago?
a long time
and it
ago.
still bothers you?
Yeah, and then in the fall, though, when it kind of gets crispy, then it always feels like football time. So that's fun. Like, going to school and you went to football.
See,
I
to
went
me,
to
that
the,
feels like harvest and hunting time because as a kid growing up, we did a lot of hunting in the fall in the beet fields and stuff for pheasants.
And see, to me,
So.
I went to the Ohio State University where they have a good football team. So anyway, it was always football. It was fun.
We usually have a fairly, I don't know, what do I want to say, a fairly mild and a fairly constant fall around here. The weather doesn't vary that much. And this has been kind of August has usually been kind of a hot but constant month. And it's kind of changed this year. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of a winter we have coming up because the Farmer's Almanac.
Oh, yeah, it says a tough winter, right?
In some areas. Now, in this area, it's supposed to be cool. What did that say?
I thought it was going to be a harsh winter.
Well, not in the Northwest. But whatever it is, I hope it brings a lot of moisture, especially like to California and especially to our eastern, our eastern mountains up in Wyoming and such where the water comes for the Snake River and such because, things are... Lake Mead right now, which doesn't affect us, but Lake Mead is the lowest it's been, I guess, in history.
It's terrible.
So it's really
water
bad.
is everything.
It is.
But let's keep building.
Well, we're having more and more people. I mean, what are we going to do with them?
Well, you know what?
We
have a lot of homes for sale, and they could, redo things that are already built, and you stop urban sprawl that way, and yada, yada,
But when
yada.
you have more and more people, they're going to take more and more water, whether no matter where they're living. So what are you going to do? I guess we could institute a deal that at 65, we just get rid of them.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
So
or maybe we should
I got
just
3 years, a little over 3 years
try to
go.
control it or something. Anyway.
Hey, we'll be back tomorrow with Steve Millington with the Twin Falls Republicans, and we're going to have a good time tomorrow. See you then. Have a great day. Goodbye, Jill.
Bye, Cal.